Hello, English 101 students. This is Mr. Bloomberg, and I'm back with a video that I was very hopeful I would get the chance to make, and as it turns out, I've been able to do that this week. This is a video that's going to help you in writing your summary, and what I thought I would do, I know you have this PowerPoint slide on Blackboard for you, but what I wanted to do is just go through it with you and hopefully add a little bit of clarity to what you can already see on your own in the PowerPoint slide. I think one of the most difficult things about having an online class is that you don't get a lot of lecture or one-to-one time with the instructor or even classroom time. And I am aware of that, and I'm very sensitive of that, so I wanted to put this video together to hopefully help you. I've got to give credit to Emmanuel Hewley Jr., who was actually the developer for the most part of this PowerPoint slide. I've just updated it a little bit in places where I feel like maybe more clarity would be helpful to you. So with that being said, I'm going to move into the first actual slide. So we're looking at two basic things in the slide. The first one, which is what is a summary, and I've put some information on the slide for you. You can feel free to follow along too as you watch this video. You might find that helpful to go ahead and pull up the file. The file itself, just so you're clear, is located in this week. It's week 2's coursework folder, and you'll see how to write a summary. So if you want to pull up that file, you can pause the video at this point if you need to and go ahead and pull up the file. At this point, though, I'm going to go in and talk about what is a summary. A summary is a restatement. The key is that it's in your own words of the author's main idea. So just as you might consider with a summary, it's where you are using your own words, but you're keeping track of the author's main ideas. A summary records the author's main points. It might also record supporting details. And of course, we already talked about it uses your own words, but what it doesn't include is your opinion or judgment of what the author has said. That's called a critique, which is quite a bit different than a summary. With a critique, you do give your opinion and judgment, but not in a summary. A summary is sticking only to what is in the article. So again, using your own words to recapture the main points and supporting details of the article. That's a summary. The rest of the slide concerns characteristics of a summary, so I'll move to the next one. Characteristics of a summary, and I know this might be, we're working with some video difficulty here, so this may not come through as clearly as I would like, but again, hopefully you have the slide in front of you too. A summary includes only the author's main points and supporting points. It does not include minor details or examples unless they're needed for the main points. Sometimes the minor details can be helpful in making sense of the major details, but remember that a summary is going to be considerably shorter than the original article that you're looking at. Otherwise, we would be more apt to read the actual article. So a lot of times with research, we're looking at saving time, and that's one of the main points of writing a summary, is if someone else is looking at the research and look at what you've written, they could read your summary and get the main ideas and supporting details of the article. Again, it's very important that you resist the temptation to comment on something the author has written. Now, certainly that's different than what we do on the discussion board. You're encouraged to give your viewpoints on our weekly discussions, but in this summary assignment, you are not to give your opinions or comment on what the author has said. A summary should include only the information that was in the original, so you're not adding to anything that wasn't in the article. Moving on to the next slide. We talked about this very briefly a moment ago, but keep the summary shorter than the original. Now for this assignment, I'm only asking for 1 page. And I think that that's reasonable considering that both articles you read related to the value of a college education. Both of those are pretty short articles, and a summary has to be shorter than the original. And that's because you're only, again, including the main points. So by nature, it's going to be shorter than the original piece. This is just a I don't know how you would say, it's just sort of a working percentage. It's nothing that's really set in stone, but percentage-wise, it should usually be about 30 to 50% shorter than the original article that you're summarizing. Very important that you preserve the author's meaning. And by that, you're not adding anything to the meaning or taking anything away. Because again, you are fighting the temptation to add your own viewpoints. You're sticking only to what is in the article. So you're not changing the meaning in any way. Next slide. Again, sticking with characteristics of a summary. Include specific information in the opening sentence of your summary. And what I've put here is very important, that you include the author's name, the title of the material being summarized, the author's focused or proposed thesis. So, for example, you might open your summary by saying, and again, it's just an example, you've got your 2 college education articles from They Say, I Say. But the example that's on your slide says, in Students in Shock being the title of the piece, John Kellmeyer warns, and please note that warns in the slide is underlined because that is a present tense verb in reference to the article. I'm chuckling a little bit because I see a little typo that I've made in preparing the slide. That was my typo, in case you're wondering. I'll be sure to go in and fix that, so I apologize for that. But again, the verb is present tense. This verb is very important because it signals information coming from the author. So that's very key. I'm going to move down now to the next slide. To achieve transition, repeat the author's name with the present tense verb. And what that means is that when you transition away from that opening sentence and you're coming back to, because it's so important to let the reader know that these ideas are not yours, they're coming from the author of the article, you can repeat the author's name with a different present tense verb. Never refer to an author by first name only. I'm being sarcastic here, but if you know the author and you have coffee with them once a week, that might be different. But obviously that's not going to be the case. Sarcasm obviously going on here. But because you don't know the author, formality is very important. So on your first reference, use the author's first and last name. For example, John Kellmeyer explains, Linda Goodman states. That's on first reference. On second reference, as you go through your summary and you're again making reference to author, you may at that point use their last name. So for example, Kellerman describes, Goodman further states, so on and so forth. So it's very proper that you at that point go by the last name. Okay, scrolling down a bit. Next slide. We're almost at the home stretch here. On a third reference, you can mix it up a little and say the author writes, or I know we have an article this week with two authors. You may pluralize that to say the authors write, or the authors stress. Remember again that this verb is in reference to author, and it's very important to try to mix it up a little bit. When quoting what the author has written, never use the verb says. It's clear that in a quote that this is what's being said, so you want to try to find a stronger verb. Writes, states, explains, insists. If they're making a persuasive argument, you could say argues, so on and so forth. Last slide. I don't know how many of you are familiar with this website yet, and I was just actually discussing it with one of my ENC 91 classes earlier today. We're also going over research in that class. The Purdue Owl, it's a website established by the University of Purdue, and it's one of the most popular and well-respected and resourced websites related to research. So I've put on here the link for that website. Please check it out. I think you'll find it's a pretty good resource for you. And don't forget to look over the specifics of the handout for the summary assignment. And maybe at this point, it wouldn't be a bad idea, since I'm actually on our Blackboard page, let me transition a bit. I'm going to close this down. This is our PowerPoint slide, and again, I hope you found it helpful. And I'm going to take just a moment to go back to the coursework tab. I'm going to go to our week folder, and I'm going to pull up the actual assignment sheets so that we can go through that too. And it makes sense, hopefully. And again, you can take a moment to pull this up before I jump into it. But I just want to make sure you're clear on what I'm asking you to do. I know that the font's very small, so it's going to be very hard to see on your end through the video. So again, feel free to pull it up as we go through. You have been asked to review both the Andrew Hacker and Claudia Dreyfus article, Our College is Worth the Price of Admission, and Liz Addison's 2 Years Are Better Than 4. And you are being asked to pick one of those articles and write a summary of it. Make sure you note the format. That is 12-point Times New Roman font, 1-inch margins, double spaced. You do not need a title page, though you should put your name, class, my name, Professor Bloomberg, and date on the top left-hand corner of the summary. Please, again, look at the Purdue Owl and your New Century Handbook to see how to set up that information. The summary, again, should be 1 page long. Make sure that you review, again, the slide, the PowerPoint slide we just went over, and this is the video, so obviously you're looking at that now. Last but not least, if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to email me. That's, again, the easiest way to contact me. You may call my office during office hours. Occasionally, I step out of the office, for example, to make videos like this. I make these in the classroom, or sometimes I go out to lunch. So if you don't catch me initially, call back and I'll make sure to make myself available, but I do keep my email up throughout the day, so that's by far the easiest way to contact me. I'm very anxious to see your summaries, and I'm anxious to see how you handle this task. So I wish you the best of luck, and I hope you found this video helpful. Be on the lookout for more videos coming up as we go through. I know with this class moving as quickly as it does, I think the videos can be helpful to you. Good luck, and let's see how those summaries turn out. Until the next video, take care.